Hey, you're very smart. You know why? Oh no, the intro's coming.
A better you starts today.
Nice little editing trick there. You know why you are really smart? We're asking you on the Jordan Shanks community page what you look for in a partner. You know what overwhelmingly the answer was? Probably, if you were one of the people that were on there. And if you weren't, I guess this is news to you. You can comment and sometimes we'll answer them. And that is, you correctly identified that what you look for in a partner is trust. So let's talk about trust. A trust is an asset hiding device, human trust. And I'm expanding it out from just relationships as well, in terms of sex ones, where you put your PP in there. We're also talking about ones where not only do you get the PP inside you, there's those ones too, yes, that's very good, but we're also talking about friendship relationships here as well. Now, when you think about what makes someone trustworthy, I bet you don't know what it actually is. I reckon that you have an idea that is somewhat close to it, which is something like, they do things for me. When I'm hungry, mum feed me. There is some level of trustability of that, obviously, because she wants you to die, but there is an impending feeling behind it that I think we need to identify, because once you understand this little key of how trust actually works, my God, your level of being able to exploit it, frankly, really expands immensely. Like it always does in self-help, but whatever, it's just the tool. Hey, sometimes the spanner gets stuck in someone's eye, sometimes it's the cabinet's done. So it depends what you do with it. I'm assuming that you're going to do it because you're a good person, aren't you? All right, well, let's continue anyway. But the thing is, look, it's not so much what is trust is the ability of just doing something for someone else. When you're talking about brand trust, that's what people are always flying around, that I got the wrong shoes online, and then I wrote to them, and then they said, that's not our fault, that's not our policy. Can you believe that? Well, maybe you should have read the fucking policy. I read every one of those Apple terms and conditions. Every last one of them. Never read one in my life. I can't lie to you like this, man. Another asset of trust. But there is that company that they're always talking about, like Zappos, for instance, that they mail out the shoes. If you don't like them, you could return them. They'll give the money back immediately. That's their guarantee to you. And they're always thinking of ways to improve it. And then there's that brand trustability, because it's, I want something, you give me that thing. And that's always there. What's something that's always just like a breach of trust, for instance, is something like, it's still angry about it, right? Like the Gillette ad, which, to be honest, now that I'm thinking about it, fuck you, Gillette. I still to this day, when I'm walking out there, just, how dare you say I'm bad for being a man? Nope, where's the big shaver? But it was because they build up a trustability in that it was just this thing of, peak moments of being a man, flying a jet, getting married to a hot girl, raising kids, kissing them on the head, and that classic American patio scene of rocking back and forth. And then all of a sudden it was just like, did you know that you're definitely a rapist? Prove otherwise. Gillette. Right? So there was a breach in trust there in that it was like, it was giving you, in terms of the advertising, right? Like it was giving you a feeling, and then the feeling did a 180. That was one of the elements of it. But if you go deeper, then, you're giving me something and I'm not getting it, so I don't trust you anymore. That's a very baby element of trust. I think that what is actually there, and this was such a light switch. First off, there's two elements really to it. We'll go through the less impressive version, I think, first, which is, so you have to stay around longer for ad rev. The first one is that you stop trusting someone when they don't meet your expectations. So when it comes to cheating, for instance, which is always the thing of like, the trust is broken. More often than not, women will forgive men. In fact, I think that the stats were last time that I saw it, it was like one of those 47% things. It doesn't always end the relationship. In fact, in favor, the relationship usually doesn't end. And I think that it is because there is an element of expectation that, say, let's just use a very, I'm not sure how many women in this audience have had this exact relationship, But, okay, let's just say that you were dating a male porn star from Europe, yeah? So, have you? Well, haven't you? But when you have, let's just assume that you have, 53% of you have, and then they were going around Europe and being like, sorry baby, I was in Kentucky, I just got the patient in front of me, and there were so many aces, I just had two folks. You wouldn't feel that there was a breach in trust there, would you? Because you'd just be like, I mean, look, if they spent the rest of your life with you, that would probably be the breach of trust, because it was just like, I thought that you were a sex maniac. There's that. In fact, I'll extend this further out than just male porn stars. Any man with that European accent, or even further, Latin, POV Europe, Latin America, that, yes, has to skanks, man. I reckon that you've just got such a get out of jail free card just from the fact that you say mates instead of man. And that's pretty much it. But there is an expectation there that, yes, that's probably going to happen. And so when it does happen, there is no expectation that is met. So and we will get back to that actually, because there's an element that you need to work on personally. Yeah, that's right. It's not all rainbows and sunshine here. It is on Success Island, but you're not there, just me. And the other element that I think that is much, much more important to understand is it's not so much that you're getting this exchange of value. That's more kind of just like a monetary thing that's kind of just seeped into the rest of the way. What really builds trust more than that is at the very least, and I think that it's probably not even at the very least, it's just you can sense it it's either happening or it's not happening, which is, does the person have your best intentions at heart? Do they or don't they? Now, here's the first little red pill that I want you to do. I want you to think about the people in your immediate circle. You know the classic thing of, if I was dangling off a cliff, how many people could I use my other flailing arm to go, hello, Jason? Yeah, I'm in a bit of a pickle here. How many of those people do you think that you could contact at that moment and they'd say, oh, yeah, okay, it's a shame. No, it's only a 45-minute drive, and they'll go do it. How many people do you think would, as Bill O'Reilly used to say, he had this book, Who's Looking Out For You? And I actually do think that he summarized this idea well, because he came from one of those Irish neighborhoods. And so there was that real feel amongst it that just, the McNultys stick with the McNultys. And that was this build of trust that he still has with his friends to this very day. And by this very day, I think he wrote the book 15 years ago. So maybe something else happened in between then. But there is always just the intention behind it. I'm always looking for that. Anytime that I'm ever employing anyone, I'm always looking for someone that I think, yes, if it goes to shit, I think that that person would try to not fuck me over. You know what I mean? Like, if the ship was sinking, they wouldn't just be like, there's a golden statue here. Hey, I need that gold. Like, that person. I'm trying to always rid that person out of my life, purely because I just know that about the intention thing. I really do think that that is actually the core of, if you think about it, if you think about the people around you, there will probably be a bunch of people that fail you constantly. You ask them to do any favor whatsoever, they're always just going to say, sorry, I'm in Spain. There's going to be those people, definitely. But the question is, at the end of the day, is there at least the idea between both of you that you're trying? You're trying. Because at least if there's trying, there's just going to be this actual intent there to try and improve each other's lives. I think that this is always what I'm trying to do in a relationship whenever I think about it. I'm always just thinking about, if I don't have that person's best intentions at heart, they shouldn't be in my life for their interests, first off. But it's also just the vice versa thing. I think that every time you ever feel that breach of trust, you realize, oh, they tried to fuck me over for immediate gratification. They could have done something else very easily, but no, they decided to put their interests first at great expense to mine. Now, there is also, as I'm talking about with that expectation, that you always just expect that, yes, everybody, because they're always just seeing the world through their own eyes, is just going to be like, me, and then grab that. But then, is there that chimp apologetic look afterwards of, when you've got the little banana in your hand, and then you think, and then you try and give a little bit of the banana to the other person? That's what you need to figure out for your own life. The people that you spend the most amount of time with at the very core, and this is definitely, especially important when you are in a long-term relationship with someone. At the core of it, you know how people are always just saying, you know, don't look at interests because after a while, you'll kind of just merge interests. When people always just say we have nothing in common, I always think that that is a cop-out excuse. And then people say, you got to look for aligning values. I think that even deeper than that, you have to have at your core, if you're going to be in a long-term relationship with anyone, does the other person have my best intentions at heart? And vice versa. Do I have that for the other person? Because if you don't have that, at some point, that relationship will crumble. It will become noted at some point. Now, here's the thing that you see a lot of people, and this is really trippy when you see it. There are people that walk through life, and no matter where they go, la 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 la, I got some roses from a stranger, and now I've got some roses only chocolate, and they're called tens. But also on top of that, people that aren't going to teens and all that kind of stuff, there is that type of person that has a very attractive personality, and it is because their expectation, first off, is low. There is a very low bar for when you have this point of like, I should have known better, and stormed away. And people that are extremely demanding, they're always going to find it very difficult to be in a relationship because their expectations of what creates trust is very high. In that, all right, let's use the Steven Crowder for example. You're not worming my dogs when you're 8 months pregnant. Like, obviously that relationship's going to die. By the way, like if you agree with this opinion, Steven Crowder did nothing wrong. Yeah, that's my genuine opinion. Like, how fucked was that footage? It was so bad, wasn't it? I kind of just wish it was just straight up domestic abuse. It was like worse that it was psychological and weird. And the fact that he was just sitting there with a cigar being like, deworm my dog. But here's the thing, right? That's a very high expectation. The other thing that's very interesting about that as well is that there was definitely a love language pattern overlap that isn't happening there, because you could see that her heart broke when he said, I don't love you. Because saying I love you, obviously, to Steven Crowder, his love language isn't verbal reassurance. So that's the first thing. So they clearly didn't even understand each other at that point. And I think that that is because at the core, there was no... They didn't want what was best for each other at some point, yeah? But, so they were definitely breaking that. So that was the first thing, that the wife, obviously, isn't this amazing? You could tell it within 10 seconds of watching the clip. The wife needs verbal reassurance, yeah? She needed Steven Crowder to say, I love you back. And Steven Crowder needed her to do favors for him, because it was all just about, you're taking our one card, which I know that a lot of other people have already said this, but how are you that rich and you only have one car? Poor people have 2 cars. But then the other thing is, on top of that, instead of, like, obviously, you know, you shouldn't be married to Steven Crowder in the first place for many reasons, but that one of them is that, you know, like, he obviously sees doing favors, which is one person's love language. Some people just have this thing of, like, you do things for them and that shows that you care. That's obviously his. Another one is just giving out gifts. Another one is just tactile contact. There is a bunch of those things. But here's the whole thing. Here's why all of these other things, like your values, and when you're in these long-term relationships, all of these things start to align as long as the base is there, which is that both of you have this idea in the back of your mind that you're trying for the other person, that you're having a go. In fact, ladies, tell me if I'm wrong, but any time I've ever done this for my girlfriend, which is try and cook something, and I'm a terrible cook, and it tastes like shit, so bad that we have to order out anyway at the end and just save double the amount of, waste double the amount of money. When that happens, she always comes back and she's always really happy. And why? Because I had to go. Because I had to go. And that is one of her love languages, by the way. It's definitely gifts. Women, am I right? Gifts. And they always want something. And doing things. That's what she likes. And I like verbal reaffirmation. Yeah? And obviously, we forget those things all the time because they are just incompatible love languages. But there is just that little understanding between both of us that we're trying, damn it. Once that is eroded in a relationship, it's gone. The relationship's gone. So, I want you to think about this now in your own life. First off, this is the easy part. Who's looking out for you? I need you to think about that. Because it's actually very important in a relationship, isn't it? The intent to try and do good by someone is so much better than someone who can just competently do good things. It just goes down to a basic emotional thing, which is that if somebody is competent and can do a lot of things well, yeah, that's great. But when a better offer comes along, they're going to go move over there. What people are always looking for is somebody that's just like, doesn't matter if the chips are down, if the chips are up, who cares? I'm still here. That's what people are looking for. So, who do you do that for? Who is your ride or dies, to use really lame Instagram language? Who are they? Who are they? Where is that vice versa reciprocal relationship where that is the core of the relationship? I need you to do that homework. Thank you so much for listening. And if you want to build more rapport with me, there's only one way to do it, and that is to sign up to Jordan Shanks. You know that if you do, you'll be getting far better information than this. You'll be getting the primo cuts of all this stuff that we've been reading that week. Lessons and lessons of books that I have accumulated over my life that I dole out, giving it there for the simple reason that it is there to just remind you every day of these principles, that if you just keep applying them every year, and snowball effect, after a while it goes, so do you want that? Do you want that 10 years from now? Well, you better sign up today.